Hello, darlings. Guess what I've got here? Pain au chocolat. It is a chocolate croissant. So anyways, I know it's not exactly nice. It's a bit naughty, but you know what? It's that time of the year where we might splurge a little on our health. So anyways, I wanted to make a video because a lot of people have been asking me. They know I'm a pastry chef, so decided to make a video with croissants. So croissants are not exactly the easiest. It's a 3-part process, including part 1, making the dough, part 2, adding the butter, part 3, cut, roll, fill, proof, bake, and then you'll have some amazing croissants. Usually you can do that within 24 hours. So I hope you'll watch my video so you can make some at home. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my website for www.naughty2nice.com. That's where you can find out kind of my mission and what I'm trying to do. And usually I do recipes like naughty and then make them nice, but this particular one is just completely naughty. So I hope you'll watch it and enjoy it. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy it. And I'm so glad you enjoyed us and hope you have a wonderful holiday. Bon appetit. Okay, so for part 1, you start with milk that is like baby's milk. You can measure the temperature, should be 180 degrees, or the best thermometer is your finger. So I usually stick my finger in, and it should be warm, but not so hot that you wouldn't give it to your baby, and not so hot that it burns your finger, because yeast is like a living creature, and it has certain things it loves to eat. And one of its favorite things is flour. Sugar's its ultimate favorite thing. But so what I'm going to do, I don't want to kill the yeast, and if it's too hot, you'll kill the yeast. If it's too cold, it won't dissolve, it won't be activated. So I've got my milk, 12 ounces of milk right at room temperature, and I've also got 2 1/4 tablespoons of yeast. And so I'm just going to put that in there. And I'm gonna let that set for about 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna stir it together. So let me put that to the side for a second. Meanwhile, I've got my dough, I've got my flour, a pound of flour, 2 1/2, I've got 3 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, and I've got a 1/3 cup of sugar, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of salt. And so all I'm gonna do is just use a wooden spoon to stir, stir, stir. Then I'm going to create a little bit of a well, and then I'll put this butter in there. So like I said, I'm going to let this set for about 5 minutes, and then I will stir it together. Okay, so now that it's sat for about 5 minutes, what you've got here is some little bubbles coming up saying, yay, the yeast is activated. Now we just need to make sure that it's nice and dissolved. So I want to use my whisk to catch any little pieces that are straggle behind. Stir, 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 stir. Make sure there's none on the bottom. Stir, stir, stir. Bring back over the flour, sugar, and salt. And then we're just going to pour that in. Okay. And once again, I'm going to stir, 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 just till it comes together. Creates a nice little sponge here. This is going to be the first part, and then I'm going to wrap it in saran wrap and put it into the refrigerator for about 4 to 8 hours, just to really let it rest and relax, because the next part we're going to do is to add the butter. Okay, that looks perfect. So all I want to do now, wrap in saran wrap and put into my refrigerator. Okay, part 2, here we go. So the key to doing part dos, part dos, 1, 2, 3, no, Un, deux, trois. It's got to be French, right? Okay, so the key to doing part 2 is that your butter needs to stay very cold, but it needs to be softened. So in other words, you can't like leave it out on the counter for overnight or otherwise like you might be able to do for buttercream, but on something like this, it's got to stay cold, but it needs to be soft. So I recommend putting it in a food processor or a mixer with a paddle attachment. But really, you don't even need any of that. You could just pound it with your hands the old school way, but I'm going to show you how to do it in a processor. So I have 10 ounces of butter that I've cut up into little squares, as you can see, and I'm going to take this right here is my bench flour, and so I'm going to take just a little bit of that bench flour and throw it in there. All right. And you just want to pulse it a few times. Again, you're trying to soften but not beat it. Let's see how it's looking. Okay, so any large chunks I'll be able to fix with my good old-fashioned rolling pin. Can't even think of what it's called. It's too early. Okay, so let me take that off and get this boy out of the way. Get my trusty beater, my rolling pin. All right, and so this is my dough from part 1. So I like to use this to a bowl scraper to get everything out. So I'm just gonna take, and once again, this is my little technique. It's like chicken feed, okay? You don't wanna just put a ton of flour and you just wanna kind of do it like chicken feed, okay? Just enough to have your work surface covered whenever you pull this girl out. All right, here she goes. She's lovely, isn't she lovely? Okay, so I got all that stuff up there. So I'm gonna put it right here, and then it feels a little moist, so I'm gonna add a little flour right there. Okay, so I'm gonna use my bench scraper to mess around with her, move her around, get her to where I feel. Now, she's gonna have to be a rectangle, so I wanna make sure that even when I start, that I'm starting with a rectangle, okay? Okay, and I'm not gonna roll this out a lot because this part is not as important as the next 2 parts, because I'm gonna do what they call a single turn in the pastry land. Okay, you see kind of how this is wanting to be naughty? So I'm gonna definitely mess around with it to try to keep it like a, okay, to push her like this. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, do a couple more turns. More rolls, I mean, not turns. Okay, so at this point, I'm not as concerned about the size as I am just getting that rectangular shape, okay? And again, always make sure you're just checking to make sure that everything is always cha-cha-cha. Now, on this butter, as I'm starting to put it out, I'm going to put it from here down. Okay, I just want to make sure that as I'm putting it, that it's nice and soft, that I don't have any, you know, non-soft big pats of butter, okay? I'm going to, as I roll it, you know, it's going to roll out a little bit, but I want to just make sure that nothing is so hard like that right there. And if I see a little piece like that, I'm going to put it to the side for a minute or a second, a hot minute, a hot second. Okay. This is what makes this flaky and delicious and amazing. I love croissants. I can't wait to eat these today. Can't even believe I'm gonna eat these. I'm getting too coochie. That's the southern word for tubby. I'm tubby, getting tubby. Don't like tubby. Tubby's not nice. But you know what? If you do skinny, no one trusts you if you're a chef. You can't be too skinny as a chef or people will think your food tastes terrible. People always tell me I'm too skinny. I'm like, on what planet? Okay, just checking it as I go, making sure that it's soft, that I don't have any of those because once I start rolling, I just need to make sure that it's all gonna roll together. You know, even though, ooh, that's perfect. Get these little guys out of here. These little, all this butter that wanted to stick to the side. How dare you? Here we go, darlings, okay. Now I'm just gonna squish these little guys into a ball and give them a little spanking. Okay, now that's got them a little bit softer and they're happy now and so am I. So now I've got it pretty well finished. So this is what they call a single turn, okay? Fold it over one time, 1/3 way, and then one more time, okay? That is what we call a single turn, okay? And I wanna make sure that everything's lining up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it like this. Okay, now think of this as like a book. Okay, so I'm gonna read a book and here are my pages, okay? And then that's how I wanna roll. And each time I do a roll, I wanna make sure that I wind up with this position, okay? So, throw a little chicken feet on there. Make sure, in the back, whoosh, whoosh. Okay, now I'm gonna use my hands to push. This is my second technique for pie dough, croissant dough, everything else, and that is called the knuckle test. Now, on the knuckle test, that means you don't want to start rolling if your knuckles don't touch the counter, okay? So they still don't touch, so I'm just going to use my palms to smoosh it down a little bit more. By the way, you know, smoosh is a really good word. It means smoosh, and I think we all know what that means. So she looks real good. Let's give her the knuckle test again. She's much closer, but I think I still need to do a few more. Give her a little bit more. Give her a little smoochy, 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 smoochy. Make sure she's still moving before I start rolling. I don't want anything to get stuck, okay? Now, here we roll. All right, now sometimes I just move mine for a second just to make her more fat. So I'm gonna roll her this way, roll her this way, roll her this way. Okay, now I'm gonna fold it back just for a second, move her back into the book position. Okay, once again, these are the pages. Make sure you make it back to the book. Okay. This is what you call a laminate dough. You see all those beautiful little pieces of butter? Oh my word, that's what's gonna make this crazy, crazy layers of flaky, beautiful croissants. Everybody is going to cry when they get one. They'll be like, it's too good. It's too good. Now, a lot of people will tell you or give you opinions about exactly how, you know, needs to be however many inches by however many inches. Well, that's not what I like to do. I just like to make sure that everything is about, okay, a 1/4 of an inch thick. That's kind of my little test. So this is what they call a double, right? So you're gonna pull half in, then to half here, and I'm gonna line these guys up, make sure that they're almost exactly the same. Everything, I want everything to kind of come together in a nice, pretty, line everything up, line everything up. There we go, that's what I got. Now that I'm here, I'm gonna roll over one more time, okay? Now, I've gotta do one more double turn. So in croissants, you do one single, 2 doubles. Sounds like Waffle House, doesn't it? Okay, so once again, I'm back to my little book. Okay, I've moved it in a way that I'm back to my book. And once again, I'm gonna do a little smooshy, 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 and do a little chicken feed. Come back here for a second. So she moves pretty well, okay? And I've got a little bit fatter down here, so I want to smoosh, smoosh, smoosh. Once again, I'm just really getting this butter to be friends with the flour and the yeast. That's, you know, pretty much what you do. Okay, now I'm going to roll. Okay, and you know how I like to make her fat by just turning her for a moment on this side. Little chicken feed. Okay, now, once again, I'm gonna move it just so that I can move it back into position where it needs to be. Okay, she's looking good, looking good. Can do a couple more rolls, and then I'm gonna do my turn. And we will be done with part 2 of the croissant dough. Okay, very nice, very nice. So now what I'm gonna do is, once again, come halfway in here. Both these girls, just like this, lined up, very nice. Do my last turn, kapow, and there she is. All right, now at this point, I'm gonna wrap it up, put it back in the refrigerator for, you know, you can put it overnight, no less than 4 hours, and you know, at least, you know, between 4 to 8 hours is typical. But if you left it in the refrigerator for a day or two, it would puff up a lot, and you'd need to push it down a little bit. So, all right, ready for part 3. Okay, part 3 of the croissant dough. So here is my croissant dough. I've smooshed it down just a little. It was getting kind of puffy from having spent the night in the refrigerator. But once again, here is my book pages right there. And here's the other part. I'm going to divide this in half, okay? So I'll put part of this over to the side, and then I've got this part right here to begin with. Okay, so throw a little chicken feed down. Now I'm making 2 kinds of croissants. You can pretty much put anything on the planet that you want in a croissant that's edible. And I'm gonna make 2 kinds today. I'm gonna make an almond croissant, and I'm going to make a pain au chocolat. So I've got chocolate and almond croissant. Once again, I always want to keep that book binding, the pages, on the right side. And I want to try to keep it as close to a rectangle as I can. Now, this recipe makes 32 croissants, but they are not large size croissants. So if you want to make large croissants, just do half the amount, okay? So I'm going to get 16 out of this one and 16 out of the other one. Now, if you wanted to get more, you certainly could. These are smaller than you would go to a French bakery and buy. I personally just prefer them a little bit smaller. That's why I make them this way. Okay, and I just want to make sure that it's kind of moving a little bit still. And again, you just want it to get to about a 1/4 inch thick. Don't worry about the exact. Some people like to use rulers. I don't. I've never been an exacting kind of gal. But again, if you want to get 16, so what you're going to do is cut it in half. Cut it in half again. I always tell my students, so if I have 4 and I'm getting 16, how many am I going to get out of each one? Obviously 4. Now, when I'm doing them pan style, they're not going to be in the shape of a crescent. So what I'm going to do is go like this, and then in half, and then in half again. So you wind up with 16. And look at that, I didn't even, these are a little bit bigger, that's okay. It's okay. I've got two of my favorite chocolates. I've got an intense dark sea salt and I've got an intense dark regular. So I'm gonna start with the regular. I think what I'll do is make my small boys okay, so I'm gonna put one in each thing, but I'm obviously not gonna put it like that. But what you gotta do is kind of cut it in half, okay? That actually, even that looks a little bit, you know what I'm gonna do? I didn't exactly cut these well, but this is about the size that you want. So, yep, like that. You know, if you have a commercial bakery, then you buy the chocolate bars, but you really can't get those. Oops, how did that one? Check that out. Okay, those are my pain au chocolat. I'm going to show you how to also do a crescent shape. So these are going to be some almond croissants. And what I use for the filling is called almond frangipane, okay? Which is almost, it's almost like a paste. I will have the recipe for the almond frangipane, so if you want to make the almond croissants, you can. Yo, where's my bench flour? Here it is. Yo, bench, where's my flour? I'm so crazy. Once again, I'm using my palm. It's funny, whenever you're doing workouts, they'll say palms to the ceiling, palms to the ceiling. Palms on the pocket. Move, move, move. Anytime you're dealing with dough, move it, move it, move it. That's like my three principles. Chicken feed, knuckle test, move it, okay? Once again, here's my book binding. Book binding here, pages here. Keep it that way. It doesn't really matter at this point, but it does whenever you're doing the single turns and the double turns. Okay. Once again, I want to get 16. So I'm going to show you a little bit different way to do it. And hopefully this time they'll be a little more even than my last ones. But if they're not, I'm going to get over it. And so are we all. Okay. Move that guy a little bit. Okay. All right. Now, if you're a real stickler for making every side like be perfect, then do that. I'm not, but for you OCD people, there you go. Okay. Once again, I need 16, but this time I want crescent shape. So here's what I'm going to do. The same thing I did before with the 4. Then I know I've got to get 4 out of each one. But this time I want crescents. So this time I'm going to do it like this. Okay? Then my crescents are going to be like that. Okay? Okay, now that I have that, let me put a little bit of the frangipane on each croissant. Okay, so my croissants have been proofing for about 30 minutes on top of my oven. You probably have your own place that you like to do yours. This is where I put mine on top of the oven. This is what you're looking for. You want it to feel puffy, okay? So the side of the croissant, you can see it's kind of puffy, okay? Now these are my chocolate, and these are the ones that were the salted ones, so I'm gonna sprinkle a little salt to kind of make them a little bit different than the others. So I have 1 egg. This is gonna be my egg wash. 1 egg and about a teaspoon of water. And I'm going to stir it to the point of where it's viscous. Okay, it's nice and vicious. And I'm going to use a little pastry brush, just brush the tops. Spilly, spilly. All right, guys, time to take the croissants out. Oh, yummy. Here is our amazing almond croissant. Yummy, yummy. And of course, for those of you that love chocolate, like me, got my pain au chocolat. Yum. Check that out. And so when I serve my almond croissant, I usually do a little sprinkling of confectioner's sugar, so I'm gonna do that real quick and let you check those out. And once again, I just wanna tell you thank you for watching the video. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to push the little bell too, so you never miss a notification of any new episodes. Once again, almond croissant. Chef Paulette, Naughty to Nice. Check out my website for the recipes, www.naughty2nice.com. Hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, New Year, and I know 21 is going to be great. So thank you so much for joining, and have a great day.